Today's stories include Breath of the Wild Switch 2 upgrade won't include the DLC. Boo. Toys for Bob would love to work on Banjo-Kazooie. Yay. And Mafia the Old Country's release date might be revealed. Cool. For Barrett, you know? We'll have all this and more because this is Kind of Funny Games Daily. What's up and welcome back to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Friday, April 11th, 2025. I am Tim Geddes. I'm joined today by Blessing Adeoye Jr.
Good day, Tim.
It's a really good day.
It is.
Because Joey Noel just texted me some very important information. Kevin, there is a link at the top of this doc. Kevin just made a sound. If you could bring it up, I would appreciate it because everyone here needs to know that on this glorious day of Friday, April 11th, 2025.
Is there a surprise drop?
The band M2M.
Wait. Where's the link? Because it's not on assets.
On the top of
sorry,
the KFGD
the top under intro runs.
Sorry, I didn't hear you when you...
The band M2M, the artist M2M. You might know them, Bless, from Pokemon the First Movie soundtrack.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
They put out the banger, Don't Say You Love Me. The lead single from Pokemon the First Movie.
Oh.
Did it make any sense? I don't know. Why? Why was this the single? But was it a banger? Yes. Did I listen to it all the time on cassette and then later on CD? Absolutely. Why did they put out a new version of it in 2025? I don't know.
You know.
But I'm so happy.
You know why.
Good for them.
You know, they know how to get them clicks.
Get them clicks.
Get
This
them
is how
money.
you're going to get the clicks,
them plays.
everybody.
You know, you come on. I need a guaranteed hit. I need something that's gonna bring the fans back in. What do? I remaster my song from 25 years ago. I put it back out that I know everybody's gonna love. It's gonna be a hit. Grant Kirkhope, keep making Banjo-Kazooie remix albums because I'm gonna listen to every single one.
Please do.
Please
and
do
M2M, just do your thing. I'm so happy for y'all. Everybody go check out M2M's Don't Say You Love Me 2025 edition. Tell me how it is. I haven't had time to listen to it yet.
M2M's
so I don't even
version.
know.
You know,
Yeah, the M2M version.
M2M's version.
Good Lord.
For you.
How you doing though?
I'm doing really well. I'm excited for today. It's Friday. It's the end of the week. I get to go home, sleep in, rest, you know, decompress. But before I do that, I get to play a game I've been looking forward to today on stream. That one and only Fifu, aka Rematch. God.
And it's such a shame that it's actually a good name, Rematch.
It is.
You know?
Yeah.
Because Fifu's right there, and it's like, that's great too. But like,
yeah.
Rematch is good. You're going to play it today.
And let me tell you, it was a whole thing where yesterday on the show, I was teasing the fact that like, hey, we might be playing a game. I'm not sure. I don't know if the date changed or if I misread the email that I got a few weeks ago about the beta that's happening. But like, I got the codes and they're like, okay, cool. Doesn't go live until 3 a.m. And I was like, all right, cool. We're not streaming this today then. I get in today and I look at Kevin because I'm like, yo, what's happening on the stream? Because I look at the calendar and it says one thing. Kevin then mentions, or Kevin said that like, yo, the title on the YouTube is saying a Blueprints related thing. And I'm like, Kevin, what's going on? I thought we were playing Rematch.
No, it said soccer and puzzles.
Yeah, puzzles. But like, then Kevin was
You're
like,
ignoring the soccer part.
but you also said that Mike said that the thing doesn't open until 3 p.m. To which I look at you and I'm like, no, it says 3 a.m. I read this thing multiple times. It's all I was concerned.
But that was 3 a.m. last night, correct?
Last night, yes.
So that means
right now
it's game time.
The beta's
baby.
happening and we're streaming that shit.
That
and let
is
me tell
so
you,
awesome.
I'm happy because under the sweatshirt.
Here's the reveal, everybody.
We got a
There
soccer
he goes.
jersey. I'm wearing my Chelsea jersey.
Good.
All right. I'm so fucking excited for Rematch.
I'm so excited for
Let's
you.
fucking
I mean, I was
go.
so excited yesterday that I made a big deal because in the chat it was breaking news that we got a release date for all this, and I was excited to share that with you. But you already fucking knew.
I already knew. I didn't know when the release date was, but I wasn't surprised when we were pulling it up. I was like, it's gonna be some Rematch stuff because I know what's going down today.
That's awesome.
It's going down.
Yeah, so that's the stream today, everybody. Stay tuned for that. It should be a lot of fun. But this is Kind of Funny Games Daily, where each and every weekday we get together to talk about all of the video game news that you need to know. If you like that, and I know that you do, you should get the Kind of Funny membership. It gets you the shows ad-free. It also gets you the daily exclusive Gregway. Every single day we put out a substantial piece of content talking about your questions, talking about whatever the hell we want to. I think today it might be a Snowbike Mike special. So we'll see how that all
He
goes.
hasn't responded to my DM yet.
We'll see. Or it might be Bless.
It might be one of
it
us.
Might be, it's somebody. It's going to be somebody cool. It won't be me. I'll tell you
Did
that.
you actually ask him to do it?
Yeah.
After yesterday, he asked you like a million times to do it.
Yeah,
And
but
you
I was
said
busy.
no.
Here's the thing.
blink he has.
I'm making a shift in my schedule to be on the stream today, which means I have less time. But guess what? You know what I mean? Mike is there to help out where he can. And he doesn't know how to say no to things. So
I'm gonna take advantage of that so I can
Oh
play
my
soccer.
God, that was the darkest I've ever seen, Bless. I'm like, well, he doesn't know how to say no.
He doesn't know how to say no to things. So like sometimes I gotta take advantage of that when I can.
Yeah.
And that might mean
Yeah, but he doesn't respond to text, so you're gonna have to ask him in person.
Oh, all right,
Kev-
I'm gonna ask him in person.
Kev, the chat is saying there's an issue with my mic.
I'm trying to figure it out. I don't hear it in my headphones. Let me go to the other room and because it could be Is it YouTube or is it Twitch? Chat, let me know. Are you on YouTube and the issue with the mic is fine? It says Twitch, so maybe it's YouTube.
I did just get a response from Mike who says, I don't know how to say no to things, so of course I'll say yes. There we go.
That's our guy,
Gregway
Mike.
is coming from Mike today.
Speaking of Snowbike Mike, real quick, I want to say a lot of people have been asking if we're going to do a follow-up to his Final Fantasy X first half review now that he's beaten the game. The answer is, of course we are. So next week, me and him will be doing another one-on-one talking all about Final Fantasy X. I watched his entire VOD last night of him beating the game, and I was crying right along with him.
That's awesome.
It is y'all need to go check out Mike's ending of Final Fantasy X. The whole stream's amazing, but the end, the final hour is like, the amount of emotion. Every emotion possible is there.
I didn't know Final Fantasy X was like that.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know it was one of them ones.
Oh, it's one of them ones.
I might have to check this game out at some point.
You might have to, Bless. God, you should. I can't believe this is happening, everybody. Final Fantasy X is back.
Good for y'all.
Oh, man. Remember, we are an 11-person business all about live talk shows. Today, after Games Daily, you're getting a whole bunch of incredibly cool stuff. Starting off with Gamescast. It's what we've been hyping up for a while now. It is the Elder Scrolls Online podcast, a kind of funny Gamescast limited series. Greg, Mike, ZeniMax Online Studio Director, Matt Firor, and the Elder Scrolls Online game director, Rich Lambert, are starting an unflinching 4-part show about the highs, lows, successes, and failures of the 10-year-old game. The reviews are out. People are loving it. People are already watching this somewhere.
Wait, really?
No, he's making that up.
No, I'm not. I saw on Reddit people are watching it. It might have been there on the Elder Scrolls channel. I'm not sure, but you know what I need you to do? Watch it on our channel and then watch it on their channel because we worked really hard on this and we're really proud of it. But no, legit, people seem super stoked about it.
That's awesome.
I saw multiple people saying, like we were talking about the last week, even if you aren't an Elder Scrolls Online player, this is going to be a good show. This is going to be a good deep dive into the behind the scenes of video game development and also celebrating an amazing series.
That's super
10
cool.
years for this game. So awesome stuff. Check it out then. And then after that, the stream is going to be Rematch, aka FIFU, with Mike and Andy and Bless.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
If you're kind of
I played it. I played just 2 seconds of it just to get in the practice mode. One, to make sure that I was right about the fact that the beta's live, but then also just to move around a bit.
yeah.
Feels right.
Oh,
It
I'm
feels
so
smooth.
excited for you. If you're a kind of funny member, you'll get today's Gregway that, thanks to Mike, is going to be by Mike. And thanks to our Patreon producers, Anatoly Ost, Delaney Twining, Carl Jacobs, and Omega Buster. I continue to struggle with the Anatoly Ost there. So
Has
I would-
Anatoly written in to tell
No,
us the
so
pronunciation?
please write in because I want to pronounce this correctly. Please do that to me. Today we're brought to you by BetterHelp, but we'll tell you all about that later. For now, let's begin with what is and forever will be the Roper Report.
It's
time for some news. 5 stories today.
Baker's dozen!
Let me tell you, Kevin's been in a great mood ever since he discovered blueprints.
That's really what happened.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go on too many tangents, but I do have
Guys, I actually think it was just the morning before that.
What happened?
No, I don't know. But I was really happy, and then I discovered blueprints. You know?
Wow. They compounded it.
Yes,
It
yes.
all builds on
I
each
have
other.
a quest for everyone in the chat right now. We have a question that needs to be answered, and I am a simple man that doesn't understand how things work. PlayStation has the cloud. The PlayStation Portal now has cloud access.
Yeah.
Is Blueprints, if you have PlayStation Plus Premium?
I shouldn't know the answer. I shouldn't know the answer to this. I can't be playing blueprints everywhere.
We need to know for Kevin Coelho so we can play Blueprints everywhere on the portal. Is Blueprints
yeah.
cloud compatible on the PlayStation Portal? Somebody please
You're
let us
gonna
know.
bring me into a meeting room and be like, "Hey, look, I know this is a fun place, but it's people are all talking about how much you're playing." You know what I mean?
That is gonna happen. Like Tim, as somebody who is currently addicted to blueprints, it's gonna take over Kevin's life.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
It's
don't
gonna be a
know.
problem.
I don't know. My first solo run felt.
People are
pretty good.
saying yes, Kevin. People in the chat are saying yes.
It's gonna be dangerous.
People are saying it's going to be Breath of the Wild all over again.
God, remember I was like, hey, so have you seen any good cases for your Portal? And you're like, what the fuck would you need to take it outside for?
I knew it was bad when I woke up to a text from Kevin this morning, and Kevin just sends me a screenshot of his game.
Yeah.
He's like, "Look what I did." And I'm like, "Oh, he's in, because I never get random texts from Kevin."
Speaking of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Nintendo Switch 2 edition won't include the DLC. This comes from Rebekah Valentine at IGN. And bless, let me just tell you, the hits keep coming.
They keep coming.
They just keep coming.
I can't wait to talk about this one.
I
though,
know.
'cause this is an interesting one to talk about.
Aren't they all, though?
This one even more so, because I'm not that I'm of two minds with it.
Yeah.
But I might be. Listen. You know what I mean? Like, I might be a corporate apologist.
Uh-oh,
I might be a corporate
Everyone
apologist.
strap in. Amid continued frustration and confusion from fans about how much the Nintendo Switch 2 and its games are going to cost them, especially in the United States, where that seems to be perpetually in flux, we just learned about yet another charge that may not have been obvious to everyone at first. Zelda Breath of the Wild Switch 2 edition does not come with the expansion pass, meaning you'll have to pay an additional $20 to play the new DLC. Sorry, not new, to play the DLC on the new system if you don't already own it. That might sound like a no-brainer, but let me explain. Since the announcement of Switch 2's games and their pricing last week, there's been no end to the confusion about how it's all going to work. What we currently know is that if you already own this Breath of the Wild on Switch, you can play that game on your Switch 2, including the DLC, if you've already purchased it. No problem. However, there's also a Nintendo Switch 2 Enhanced Edition of Breath of the Wild. I want to fucking shoot myself. Comes with improved visuals and performance achievements, as well as support for the new Zelda Notes service in the Nintendo Switch Online app. If you already own Breath of the Wild, you won't get these features automatically, but you can purchase an upgrade pack for $10 to get access to all of that. Are you following everybody? Cool. So that leaves folks who don't own the game yet at all, but might want to purchase it on the Switch 2. They can purchase the Switch 2 Enhanced Edition of Breath of the Wild for $70, $10 more than the game initially retailed at. So basically the price of the original game and the pack. But it won't include the DLC pack, so you won't have access to that. If you want access to that, it's another $20 on top of that. So $90 for the full Breath of the Wild 2 Nintendo Switch 2 experience. I said something's wrong there. You fucking get it. This is according to a statement from Nintendo, who told IGN, quote, "The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Nintendo Switch 2 edition does not include the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild expansion pass DLC." I fucking hate it here. The DLC is available as a separate purchase.
So
go for it.
I don't even have a rant about this. It's more so
Yeah.
questions about what our expectations are around upgrades, around weird Nintendo decisions, and around what we want out of this, right? Because like I think when I look at an enhanced edition of a game, typically I'll say a lot of the time, if not most of the time, when you're getting that either, I don't even want to say complete edition, because they've never framed this as a complete edition. They're saying this is the next gen edition of this thing. Most of the time for AAA companies, that does come with a DLC. It almost is packaged like a complete edition or a Game of the Year edition, which comes with DLC or something like that, right? This isn't that, of course. This is them being like, hey, you're getting the Nintendo Switch 2 version of Zelda Breath of the Wild. If you want the DLC, pay the money for the DLC. I'm not thrilled with that, but I'm also not mad at that. Just for the sense of like, all right, cool. Like they want us we're mad that they're not including a DLC with a thing that's not being presented as including the DLC.
Yes. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Entirely. 100% I agree with you. I also think this is stupid and it should include it.
And I don't disagree with that.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's like,
I
I don't think this is that big of a deal. I do think this is a perfect example of what I was talking about yesterday of just like, God, Nintendo, you could just not do this. You could just like not have things for people to scrutinize and rip apart. And like, yeah, is this kind of shitty? Sure. I think it's pretty low on the kind of shitty scale.
That's the thing is, I think out of all the shitty parts of their messaging and all the stuff they've done so far, this is like the bottom of the totem pole, where I look at this and I'm like, all right, cool. Like I own I bought the DLC when it came out, so I'm like I guess I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
That's my thing is I'm also like, if you're somebody who's in the market, well, I guess this is, yeah, if you're somebody who's new to buying Breath of the Wild, I don't know. It's just a weird thing of we paid for the DLC anyway. Like this changes nothing.
Yeah.
I guess in my mind.
I mean, again, it's always a weird thing that Nintendo can slightly enhance games, sometimes not even at all.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes take the features away and then charge more. And they've done that time and time again over the years, and this is another example of it. I think that this goes back to what we were talking about yesterday of there's always going to be pain points going from generation to generation when you're trying to have features cross the line, when you're trying to have games cross the line, an account cross the line, all of that. And with the NSO and how it allows you to get certain expansion passes. Like the Breath of the Wild one wasn't one of those, I don't think, because that was like so early
Yeah, that was
in the
before.
Switch's DLC. I feel like they should add it there. That to me is like that's what should happen. Is that
that would be a smart move.
yeah, and doesn't seem like they're doing that. Instead, they're allowing you to buy this if you want it. You don't need to buy it. Was the DLC even that substantial?
That's the thing is, I wonder if Nintendo looks at it and is like, well, it's just it wasn't that well. I guess for me, I don't look at that DLC as like, oh man,
must play.
It must play. Oh man, we're missing out on the Breath of the Wild DLC. Like it was very fine DLC, but I'm in there for more of the core experience. It wasn't Shadow of the Erdtree or anything like that, right?
Exactly.
It wasn't the Cyberpunk DLC.
And now again, having said all this, I still stand by it should be there. Like it's like just because we're just like, it's not like we didn't love it that much or whatever. It still should be there. Like this is silly that we're putting out like the definitive edition of Zelda. They're not calling it that, but like
they didn't. They never said definitive.
They didn't.
Yeah.
But I mean, when they're adding fucking Zelda maps and like here's an app, here's GPS. It's like
Zelda notes. Put some respect on Zelda notes.
They are desperately trying to like add value to this thing, right? Like I think that Breath of the Wild is probably one of the weirder examples of things that they're adding. And even then, it's unclear about like, do you even need to pay for this shit? Or can you just get the Zelda apps in the app? Zelda notes in that.
And the Nintendo app. I know where you're going.
No, I know you are. It's just like
it's all confusing.
Just saying these same words over and over. It's just like so fucking silly. But yeah, I don't know. This is one of those ones where, yep, it's another weird Nintendo decision. I get it. It's still weird, and I don't know why they wouldn't just freaking do what people expect them to do.
Because they're Nintendo. They don't do what people expect them to do. And this is where, because I had a news story in here that I was reluctant to put it in, and then at the last minute, another story came in, so I took that one out. But one of the stories that I had on the Roper Report was another one from Video Games Chronicle by Jordan Middler titled, it's basically talking about a Sean Layden quote, right? Where he says, quote, "If it's the only place to play Mario, you buy it. Former PlayStation boss reacts to $80 Nintendo games." And it kind of gets into the conversation of like, Nintendo and the value of which the value that Nintendo wants to put their things at, and the audience's willingness to pay that value because it's Mario and Zelda and Pokemon and this stuff, right? Like I think and this comes back to the super chat from days ago that was like, why does Nintendo get a pass on this shit? I think there's a double standard, and I think to some extent, possibly, they've earned that double standard just based on the company they are and who they are. And it's going to piss people off.
But also, like, what pass are they getting if we're really being real? If every time they do something like this,
people
everyone's
get mad.
Pissed off. Like, that's what they're not getting a pass from.
But here's the thing I'll say is that, like, we'll see when all the cards are on the table. But, like, this is still going to sell really well. I think the software is still going to sell really well. It might not hit the peaks of what the Switch 1 sales were because of price or whatever, but I still think that like to the example of, not to use Gary Whitta as the example, but I think Gary Whitta is indicative of what a lot of people are, which is we sat here and we complain about the Welcome Tour price, and then Gary's like, well, yeah, I'm still gonna buy it. That's a Nintendo. Like that's the Nintendo power. No pun intended.
Pun intended, everybody.
And I guess my question then becomes, thank you so much for the smoke. Is it different with Nintendo? And like, I guess for people watching, right? Like, do you give them a pass because they're Nintendo with this kind of thing?
I honestly, I think that like the giving a pass is a abstract concept that we can apply to stuff, but it doesn't actually mean shit. Because at the end of the day, like giving a pass is just, do I want to buy a product or not? Is it worth it to me? And sometimes you even buy the product and you're like, I wasn't necessarily worth it, but I wanted it, so I did it anyway.
I guess it would be, are you more willing to buy the thing from Nintendo? Like if another company was to go this route.
No, I am not. Like, just no. It's, do I want to play? Nintendo has the games I want to play. That's all that it is.
Yeah.
But so I'm not more willing to because it's Nintendo. In fact, I'd say if a game came out on multiple, like an old game was re-released on multiple systems, I'm not going to buy the Nintendo version because it's going to be lesser then. So I think that's a perfect example of it, right? But Mario's only on Nintendo.
But that's what I'm talking.
I'm talking about buy Mario because it's on Nintendo.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm talking about, okay, maybe I'll take the Nintendo out of it, right?
But I'm still going to bitch
has the
about
stuff.
3D All-Stars.
But you're still going to buy 3D All-Stars.
Yes, because I want it. And I'm happy I bought it.
Which is why they're valuing it that way. That's the thing, is like they know, at the end of the day, it's what we pay our money for, right? It's like the things that they know that we're going to shell out for. And that's why this stuff is $80, because guess what? We're going to be mad about it, but we're still going to buy it. We're still going to pay the money.
The $80 thing is what I'm most fascinated by. Of like, years from now, what's the landscape going to look like for video games? Like, is this just going to be the new standard? Because like when, what was it? Was it NBA 2K? Was the first $70 PS5 title?
It was, yeah.
And then the last week, I've seen so many people be like, "Oh, where was this energy for PlayStation?" Listen to Any Games Daily around that time. We were like, "Holy fuck, this is the beginning of a new standard." And here we are now. It's just that's the new standard. Nintendo's now raising that up, which we're all like, "What the fuck?" I don't think any of us are giving it a pass.
Sure,
at all. Like that's insane that it's $80. I also get it. Think about where we're at in the world, but also I don't know if 3 years from now, when we're looking at the first 3 years of the Switch 2, what are games going to be priced? The fact that Donkey Kong is $70 is bizarre to me.
That's the question. How much is Kirby Air Riders going to cost? How much is do we have a price for Pokemon Zaw? I forget if they've already said, but how much is that going to cost? Right? Like, what is the baseline? Is Mario Kart 80 because it's Mario Kart? Like, is that saved for the cream of the crop, or is 80 now going to be the base thing?
I just think that's so weird. Like, again, we have a Mario Kart Direct coming next week.
Yeah.
That I think is going to answer a lot of questions. We played Mario Kart. I think that we understand the scope of it a little bit better than just watching the announcement trailer or whatever. Like actually getting your hands on it, you're like, okay, I see what they're doing here.
Yeah.
$80 though? Like, how is that going to be? How is a Mario Kart $80 worth $80 to Nintendo and they're presenting it that way? But, and again, because Nintendo's so fucking weird and won't talk about the shit, we don't know this for fact, but let's just assume that the Super Mario Odyssey team's Donkey Kong game is lesser than? How?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question.
Like, that's
a really good question.
Wild.
And I think even separating it from the Super Mario Odyssey team, I think just looking at it as the way Nintendo wants to look at it, as far as, hey, we're not telling you who's developing these games, because we think all of our games should be treated equally. We think all of our games are on a equal level as far as how we value them, as far as how we look at how we want them to be presented to fans. We want fans to be excited for all of our games. However, Mario Kart World is 80, and Donkey Kong Bonanza is 70. Like, there's some methodology there. It could be scope. Maybe the Donkey Kong game is maybe smaller. Like, maybe that's an 8-hour game, and we're not going to realize it until we get there, right? Like, maybe it is the fact that they look at Mario Kart World as, oh, we put a lot of budget and a lot of time to this thing. We think people are going to spend 50 to 100 hours playing this game, which does make sense because it's Mario Kart, right? And like Donkey Kong Bonanza isn't that.
I mean, it's just wild that in Nintendo's recent history, the two games that they've given a premium price point are Tears of the Kingdom and now Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Like, one of these things is not like the other. Unless Mario Kart World is about to be so much bigger than we expected. Like, is there going to be a massive campaign mode?
I mean, do you think it is just the fact that Mario, it's more about demand than even scope, right? Like, I think Mario Kart, Nintendo doesn't really talk about budgeting, do they? Of like how much? Yeah, I guess nobody really talks about budgeting in the video games industry. Because I do wonder what that looks like versus a Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild, right?
Yeah.
Like, because us playing Mario Kart World, there is so much charm, there is so much detail, there is so much like production in it, and it's not nearly as. Oh, I assume again, us having not played more than 30 minutes, right? Like, I can't assume it's anywhere near the scope of a Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, but I wonder if it is just like, hey, we've min-maxed budget in a different direction as far as what you're getting production-wise out of this thing, and we know the demand for a Mario Kart. It's always it's been the highest selling title of our platforms for a few generations now. Mario Kart is the toppest tier of Nintendo, so we're gonna give it that toppest premium, the highest premium price that we can give it.
Yeah, I mean it's a bizarre call. I think. I think it is. $80 Mario Kart is, I think, the most surprising thing to come from any of the Nintendo news in the last week, and that includes a new From Software game.
Can I bring in this Sean Layden article? Read it. So this is Jordan Middler. It reads, from Video Games Chronicle. It reads, former PlayStation executive Sean Layden has said that Nintendo's first-party IP is strong enough to mitigate the sticker shock of $80 games. Layden, who was chairman of the company's worldwide studios group when he left Sony in 2019, recently appeared on the Player Driven podcast to discuss, among other topics, the Switch 2. Layden, who has been outspoken previously about the troubles the games industry has faced while trying to balance production costs with the player expectation of games pricing, shared his thoughts on Nintendo's decision to price Nintendo Switch 2 games above $70. Quote, they poked through the ceiling of price elasticity where we thought none existed before. Recently, it went to 70 and people went crazy. I think Nintendo is pulling the Band-Aid right off and saying, look, quote, looks like it's $80 for a frontline game on the new platform, end quote. Layton also discussed how Nintendo leverages IP to negate some of the negative reactions to the increased price. Quote, but right here you see it. Wow, that's kind of a hefty price hike from Switch 1 to Switch 2. Wow, $80 for a game? If it's the only place you can play Mario, then you get your wallet out and you buy into it. That first-party exclusivity kind of mitigates the sticker shock, if you will, of these price hikes because you want the content so bad, end quote. And then the article goes on to talk about how, yeah, we've only had prices so far of Donkey Kong Bonanza, Mario Kart World, and Nintendo Switch 2. But, like, I think there's a point there, right? As far as in the conversations we've had in recent times, we've talked about GTA 6 and how GTA 6 could be $80, $90, $100, right? And that's one of the only games that we think could get away with coming out for that price, or at least starting the avalanche of games going up in price in that way. I think we were kind of not looking at Nintendo as being the ones, but to some extent, I think they kind of make sense for it, right? Like $80 Nintendo games, I think Nintendo is already like so, I don't even know the word I'm looking for. I want to say exclusive. I want to say premium. I want to say, I guess, like prestige as far as how they treat their titles, that I think they can get away with it and people are going to be mad. People are going to be upset, but people will still pay the price to play a Mario Kart or play a Zelda or play whatever it is that they're going to charge $80 for.
Yeah, it's so complicated because of just the financial realities of the world right now that I think does change so much of this, where if it weren't the case, I don't think Nintendo would be charging $80 for their games. That's not their MO to go higher like than others. Like they're in the past, like of course there are outlier examples over the last couple decades, but I think more so there's examples of Nintendo trying to be $10 less than the competitors and like trying to come in at that more available open space. I mean, even just look at the Wii, right? The power of the Wii and the choices that they made to essentially just have it be a glorified GameCube with different features, right? Like where we're at now, this is the closest example, and I've said this a million times, of Nintendo actually playing catch up to be in the same ball game as the other guys. Like with the advancements in PC gaming and how the scale is kind of like widened in terms of like you, as high budget and high production as video games are getting, there's still a desire and need to have them run on lesser quality machines. And we're finally getting to a point that a Nintendo machine is there with the other guys. And I think that so much of the value of what Nintendo's been able to do is create amazing games that don't need to be the most realistic looking things with art, ray tracing and all this stuff, because they don't need that stuff. They have the art style. They make games with a budget in mind to just make magic and then sell that thing. And with everything that they've been doing with announcing the Switch 2 of like, 4K, 120 FPS, HDR, all this stuff, it's like some of these things are mind-blowing that we spent months talking about. They're not even going to have some of this stuff, or maybe they won't or whatever, but they freaking do now. And I think that it's crazy that we're getting multiple games being shown. Like we played Metroid at 120 frames per second. That's smooth. Wild. And guess what? The game is not as pretty as Halo Infinite.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. But who gives a fuck? Nintendo are hitting that point of like, we have Nintendo games are now going to technically run great. That's the biggest win ever, right? But I feel like that's the thing is like, we've been talking so long about making games like hit the right level. We talk about ballooning budgets of PlayStation and how expensive Spider-Man 2 was and all this shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, meanwhile, Nintendo's bumping out classic after classic, right? With where we're at now, though, I just feel like that $80, that's overzealous for this. I just feel like it's anti-Nintendo. It's anti the way that they have done things in the past. And maybe that's the price of getting all these fancy acronyms, the HDRs and 4K. They're not acronyms. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. 4K is
yeah.
not, but whatever. Do you get what I'm saying? I just feel like it's this thing of like...
I think it's still in the aligned with, I guess, more recent generations of Nintendo. When I look at like 3DS and Switch and stuff, of people being like, man, these Nintendo games never go on sale, and when they do, it's $5 off when I want to buy the next Pikmin, right? Like, I think Nintendo, one of the things that they do is they desperate is too much word, right? But like, I guess like aggressively try to maintain the value of their games higher than other games, so they can look at it and go, hey, guess what? Mario is always going to. You're always going to pay the price for Mario, right? You're always going to pay the price for a Nintendo IP because we value them that much. Without IP, we're not much as Nintendo, right? We got to make sure that we can always charge a high price for these things. And I think that's been their MO for like the last decade of Nintendo. Yeah. And yeah, maybe that is changing with the acronyms that you're talking about, right? Like maybe it is like the technological leap. Nintendo looks at that and goes, well, shit. But I also think it is just the state of the world, right? Like I think it is just the economy and where we're at worldwide with money, where shit just needs to go up because of these words we don't like inflation and now tariffs, right? Like, I think it all is this delicate math that they're playing, and for Nintendo, the response to that math, I don't want to go too far with this this comparison, but I'll step in there, right? For PlayStation or for Xbox, like starting with Xbox, right? I think the way you respond to that math is going, all right, Indiana Jones, Doom, The Dark Ages, all of our games, they're releasing on PlayStation, PC, everywhere. I think PlayStation goes, all right, we're putting Horizon on PC. We're like expanding into live service. We're doing these things to try and make sure that we can still build those steps to the future and still existing and not going out of business because shit costs a lot of money. And we got to pay our shareholders. For Nintendo, I think for them, it is strengthening and going, what is our identity and what is going to bring us the most money as Nintendo for what makes sense for what our business is. Our business is IPs and exclusivity. Let's raise the prices. Like, let's make people pay $80 for a Mario Kart. And like, I think it's going to pan out for them. I think
it's going to pan out.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I think is not a question at all.
Yeah.
It's more, my question is the actual why. And I don't know that we'll ever get that answer, but like I truly believe that it has more to do with just the financial state of the world than it does Nintendo being like Mario Kart should be $80.
Sure.
But
yeah.
is it that means to an end of being able to just justify it and then it creates a new standard?
I think all of it's included, yeah.
We'll see for sure. But yeah, it's the fact that Donkey Kong's 70, very bizarre to me.
Yeah.
We have some super chats I want to get to before we move on from this. Ozzy Olivo says, I never get to watch live, y'all. Bless. Luther video just dropped.
I know. I got into the work and Roger was talking to me. And as he started talking to me, I saw my phone and I saw the YouTube notification from Kendrick Lamar. It immediately paused. Because whenever you get a YouTube notification from Kendrick Lamar's YouTube channel, it's some kind of like, something is going to change your life.
Yeah,
Last time it was an album.
Yeah.
The time before that, he buried Drake.
Yeah.
So I was like, Roger, hold on a second. We got to watch this Luther video.
Zeke Speak says, dude, what the fuck, Bless? You look so good in a soccer jersey. Like, what the fuck, my man? You're certified freak mode right now.
Certified freak mode. I appreciate it. Thank you. I was a big Chelsea fan in middle school because of Didier Drogba. He's the African soccer player that played for Chelsea. And I also just love the jersey. I mean, come on. It's the blue?
Good colors.
Come on.
Then we have, hey, Kuya J saying, Bless, and who's your super soldier serum dealer?
Planet Fitness.
There we go. Planet Adcon says, belated birthday tax. Have been off all week and finally getting a chance to sit down and watch you lovely people. Keep it up. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Planet, happy birthday. Robbie Rob says, the enchantment is a DLC itself. I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, okay, I can't figure it out. The enchantment is a DLC.
I don't remember an enchantment in Breath of the Wild, but I don't know. The Swallow says, the problem is that each penny-pinching story from Nintendo has a compounding effect, and its impact on sentiment cannot be seen in isolation. Yeah, I think it's less the money, and it's more just like the anger of miscommunication at this point, and then related to money as well. Like, when a lot of these stories are little things here and there where it's like, so you're telling me if I want to buy all of this shit, it's going to cost an extravagant amount of money? And like, it's like, the answer is yes.
Yes, yeah.
Like, that's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Scarlett Libre says, I want to thank you guys for having these podcasts get me through a month's worth of overtime at work. I LOL'd on the Nintendo Canada and Banana Man episode, and tomorrow Gaming Lounge has its grand opening in my hometown. Hell
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Shout out to Scarlett Libre.
I thought about issuing an apology to Canada the other day.
I mean, you went a little hard.
I did.
I'm going to be real.
I was getting tweets from Canadians.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've never seen y'all be mean before.
It's their fault for being so
Kev,
stereotypical.
No,
here's the thing. But I think here's the thing I do want to say.
They just love that damn maple leaf.
I mean, they do, but also like I think it's also bad timing because Canadians are very mad at United States Americans right now.
Hey, sorry
Rightfully
about that part.
so.
You know, we fought against this.
Yeah,
we were like, no,
he's
a bad man.
But yeah, like, hey, I don't mean it in a nefarious way. I also hate Donald Trump with all my being. I'm on y'all's side.
Yeah,
but sometimes I like to laugh.
Yeah, the only thing that what I thought was funny is just like I was ignorantly unaware or like didn't even think about the fact that there's Nintendo of other places that don't have development studios. That's my only thing. And then the fact that they had the leaf on it. That is very funny, objectively.
Come on. Let's laugh, guys.
Come on.
It's a depressing time. Let's find ways to have joy.
We have Shaggy Sasquatch saying, people keep yelling that every game should be everywhere, yet the only one doing that is Xbox, and they're hemorrhaging money. Nintendo keeps exclusive, have a massive war chest, and quality games. I want it very clear that there are so many opinions about all this stuff. I want my opinion clear that I don't think every game should be everywhere. I think that every publisher and developer and hardware manufacturer needs to have a strategy that they commit to and they check in on and they make sure it's working. And that's why I don't think there's a double standard when I, in the same breath, can say Xbox games should be everywhere and PlayStation games should be exclusive, because PlayStation has that strategy and they've proven they can make it work. Xbox tried too many strategies at once, which I think then created the situation where it's like, all right, well, now your only choice is to be everywhere to sell these games, because the games are not selling on Xbox alone. These are just facts. This is not a PlayStation versus Xbox thing. This is a PlayStation has made exclusive games work on its system. And until they don't, that just is what it is. But guess what? They're putting their games on PC and they're finding success there. We're going to see that more and more. That's a strategy changing. That's a good thing. Should everyone be able to play every game possible everywhere? Yeah.
I think that's the dream world, right?
That's the dream world, sure. But this is a fucking business, and there has to be choices made. And business relies on sound business strategy, period.
I think some PlayStation games should be on Xbox, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Put Helldivers 2 on the fucking Xbox.
I mean, I agree with that. There's strategy there that I think would make sense, but it's not the same. Casual Vader says, being mad about them charging $80 but still buying it is the pass we're giving them. All right. Alex J. Sandoval says, is it possible that Nintendo marked up Mario Kart World by $10 as a way to preload DLC cost instead of having later tracks be in a booster pass sold separately? Could this be the closest thing to date for live service for Mario Kart?
Oh, brother, strap in. You're going to pay for that DLC track, bro.
And it's going to be insane. It's going to be like $50.
Possibly, yeah. Honestly, yeah. Prepare to pay those DLC costs and prepare to look at the sticker price for that thing and be like, yo, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Why am I paying Erdtree prices for this? For 2.5 tracks. Not even a full Grand Prix, Tim. You're getting half a Grand Prix for $40.
Half a Prix.
Do you think there'll be a subscription service?
I mean, honestly, if they do it right, Switch Online.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it should be.
I mean, but like, that's not...
Jordan in the chat says, wait, Tim, I thought exclusives were bad like Hades 2. This is another conversation from last week. That
y'all need to stop. Y'all are poking the bear right now.
It's just so fucking funny. Like, again, another thing I want to make clear, because for some reason, people can't listen to the entire conversations that we have here. I don't want Final Fantasy to be exclusive to PlayStation. I want Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth and whatever the next one is to be on Xbox and PC and now Nintendo Switch. I want it to be everywhere. There is no double standard. Does that feel good?
I like
good
that.
to me.
I feel good about that.
Feels great.
It's the impossible thing of, again, we talk about these things in multiple ways at the same time, right? We talk about what we want as the audience. We talk about what we want as fans. We talk about what our perception and what our opinions are about the business and strategy and all this stuff, right? And I think people often conflate all that together and think that when I say Nintendo, when I say, for example, I guess here, right, I think Nintendo's making the right Nintendo decision to not go to be exclusive and to like maintain the value of their things. I think $80 is bad, right? But like, I could see the business there. That's not necessarily me being like, Nintendo should charge $100 for Zelda and do all this shit, right? Like, I think you can say both things at the same time, but naturally the people who are watching and listening sometimes are going to like conflate those. I've seen enough Twitter clips where people will take what I say out of context and I'm like, all right, people just don't want to listen to the thing.
Yeah. God. Christian JPEG says, boo Chelsea, go Gooners. Shut the fuck up. There's not a soccer team named Gooners.
I'm looking it up. Are they in the Premier League? They're probably the Premier
Mr. Hawk says, I've got to give a super chat for the beautiful Chelsea jersey Bless is wearing, even though I'm still jobless. Drogba is the GOAT. Good luck on the search.
Shout out, Drogba.
Believe, Mr. Hawks.
Oh, I didn't know Arsenal fans are called Gooners. Oh, that's hilarious. Why hasn't Gary Wood brought that up?
Everybody, we're going to get to story number 2 right after a word from our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. We all know that therapy can feel like a lofty investment, but we also know that there's nothing better to invest in than yourself. The state of your mind is just as important as your physical health. Let's talk numbers. Traditional in-person therapy can cost anywhere from $100 to $250 per session, which adds up fast. But with BetterHelp Online Therapy, you can save on average up to 50% per session. Therapy should feel accessible, not like a luxury. With BetterHelp, you pay a flat fee for weekly sessions, saving you big on cost and on time. Some of my best friends use BetterHelp and love how helpful it can be for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself, and it isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Your well-being is worth it. Visit betterhelp.com/kindafunny to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/kindafunny. BetterHelp.com/kindafunny. And we're back. Story number 2, 40 minutes into the show. Toys for Bob would love to work on a new Banjo-Kazooie. This comes from Jordan Middler at VGC. A super chat question for you. What would you like Toys for Bob to work on next? Toys for Bob said it would love to work on Banjo. In an interview with content creator Canadian guy Toys for Bob studio head Paul Yan was asked which developers or IP would the studio love to work on.
I think it's, and this is not a joke, I think it's Canadian guy, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. You said like it was like
Yeah.
but it's more like, you know
what I mean?
That's what they do up there. That's what they do up there.
That's their word.
That's their
but
word.
Like,
if I say I'm a bad guy, Tim.
Yeah, we can't take that. That's theirs.
There's so many. Sorry.
This is why we make jokes.
Quote, there's so many, and that's one of the exciting possibilities of being independent, said Jan. One company we'd like to work with that we're already working with, Team Xbox. They've been a great partner, and they also have a very interesting roster of characters that Toys for Bob could have a lot of fun with. The Honey Bear is the first one that comes to mind. I think we can all agree Banjo's been hibernating long enough, right? The Rare-owned platformer hasn't seen an installment since Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, which was released on 360 15 years ago. No.
Honestly, that doesn't sound long enough.
Really?
Yeah, Nuts and Bolts sounds like a different generation ago. Like 5 generations ago.
Man. In 2020, Spencer said that any revivals of classic Rare franchises were up to Rare itself. However, speaking to VGC this summer as part of an extended interview to mark Banjo's 25th anniversary, a group of original Rare team members said they weren't expecting a new game anytime soon.
What do you
Cool.
think?
I mean, this is like, it is fun that they're actually saying it. You know what I mean? Like, to have Toys for Bob straight up say Banjo's name. It's like, all right, I don't think it necessarily means anything, but it also doesn't not mean something. Tony Hawk 3 and 4 are coming out in a couple months, bless. Anything is possible. Activision's IPs, Microsoft's IPs, any way you want to look at it now, there's so many of them. I think all options are on the table, and we're still in that state of chaos, I think, of the acquisitions still not being like fully like figured out in terms of like who's working on what and who falls under who and all that stuff. But I do think sooner than later that stuff will get ironed out, and we're going to get like a new lineup of Xbox announcements, right?
Yeah.
That is like, now that South of Midnight is out, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like we're starting to get that. I'd say we're like halfway through this, like the last generation of Xbox titles, and I think we're gonna start to get a whole bunch of new announcements, right?
What do you think they're working on currently, Toys for Bob? Spyro?
I mean, that's the thing is, Spyro 4 would have been my bet. They were working on a Crash 5, and then that got canned at some point. So I don't know. Like, I'm just excited for whatever Toys for Bob's working on. I think that they've earned it at this point of just like, whether it's a brand new, I think it's a 3D platformer.
If you're to put your CEO hat on, like let's say your Toys for Bob studio CEO hat on, and you're coming off some wins, right? You put out Crash 4 quite a few years ago. People love it. It's great, right? And you're trying to figure out what you're doing next. And you're now independent. You have access to these Xbox IPs. What are the IPs, or what are the games you pick from a business standpoint?
I mean, it's just pure business.
Pure business.
It's Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, before a new Banjo?
I think a Crash outsells Banjo.
Oh.
I know that hurts for people to hear.
That does hurt.
I just think it's a numbers game. Having said that, they've done Crash recently, so I can see them not wanting to over rely on it. You know what I mean? And also, like, Crash Rumble, I don't think like set the world on fire in any way. So it's like you definitely don't want to get back to the point we were at a couple generations ago, where like Crash games were a fucking joke. You know what I mean? Crash as a character was a joke. But yeah, I think that a Crash game would sell better. But I think that in terms of IP value, in terms of like Xbox value, Banjo's the move, just because it's like goodwill, bringing something back that's exciting.
Do you think there's like a latent, I know this is always an impossible thing to measure, but like fan desire for a new Banjo, like the return of Banjo-Kazooie? Like because I agree with you as far as I guess like overall Crash as an IP is just a bit more, I guess like makes more business sense than Banjo, because Crash has been active. Crash has an audience that's going to return to it or whatever, right? And like maybe Crash is a bit more mainstream than Banjo, but I think there is like just the sense of Banjo's been gone forever. We've not gotten a traditional Banjo game since Banjo-Tooie in like 2000 or some shit, right? Like I feel like a new Banjo in 2025, 2026 has the potential to take over.
I also think that the expectations for Banjo are going to be way higher and way more difficult to meet than a Crash. A Crash 4 came out, and I'd say more than less, people were like shocked that it was good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I feel like so many people, Crash Bandicoot sucks. And I'm like, oh, this game's actually good.
Yeah.
Whereas like Banjo, I think it's like, oh, we're talking about nostalgia goggles. These are some of the best games of all time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Following up on that is a much tougher sell.
I agree with that. Yeah, I think that just for the nature of the kind of platformer is, I think Crash, when you're talking about making a new Crash game, right? Like there's more linearity there, right? Like I think Crash is a bit more dialed in as far as what you can do with a new Crash nowadays. Whereas Banjo, you're almost going up against a Mario Odyssey. Like you're kind of going up against like these platformers that are more explorative and more like collectathon based. And I think there's more work to be put into making a way more work to be put in making a new Banjo versus a new Crash.
Yeah, and we didn't talk about Spyro, but I also think Spyro has a lot of juice in it as well.
I think Spyro, out of those three, I think Spyro might be at the bottom of the list.
I don't know, because I think specifically for Toys for Bob,
yeah,
I think Spyro makes the most sense.
Yeah,
and Spyro's the one that I think has earned the follow-up sequel from Toys for Bob the most.
Toys for Bob did the Spyro Reignited trilogy.
I want to say yes. I always, Kebabs will correct me here, but like I always get it wrong of like which of the studios did what.
Yeah.
With Beanox and all of them, but I'm pretty sure they did. Anyways, the fact that this many 3D platformers are being talked about at all, Bless, is a good thing.
I'm 100%.
Like we're living in a very good time for platformers.
Amen.
Riley says Toys for Bob and the Conquer IP. I feel like we gotta get Banjo before we get Conquer.
I don't think they'll be right for Conquer. I forget. I had an idea for Conquer and I forgot what it was. I'll think on it though. There's a developer that is right for Conquer that we've mentioned before on this show. Was it the High for Life people? I don't think it was. Or High Off Life. I mean, they could make. I think their humor fits High on Life. Thank you.
Yeah, their
humor actually kind of fits Conquer. But there's a studio there. I just don't think that Toys for Bob is the one.
Yeah, I agree totally. We have Volk Dasher talking about the last thing. Why put Helldivers 2 on Xbox to sell 5 copies? It's a console that doesn't sell games, unfortunately. While that is true for a lot of things, I do think Helldivers is the type of game that could sell on an Xbox.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Multiplayer shooter games, those should be everywhere.
Yeah.
That's just how this goes, man. We need the community. Memo in the notebook says, y'all, my show last night was fucking lit. Y'all need to go next time. Love you, KF crew. Congrats, man.
Yeah.
Kebab says, Spyro 4. I edit some of CGE's vids. He's really cool. Awesome.
Nice.
Then DMCK says, Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts was my jam. By no means the best of the series, but I had so much fun when I was younger messing around with crazy stuff. Toys for Bob making any platformers a win, though. Super good remakes. That's my thing. It's like anything they do, whether it's Crash, Spyro, Banjo, or a brand new IP, I'm here for it, and I think they're going to nail it.
What would you do if we get to the end of the Xbox Game Showcase and we get Xbox Games Publishing, Toys for Bob, and then a trailer for Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts 2?
Man.
Tough.
Yeah, that's
tough.
I believe in Xbox right now, man. I believe in the next round of games they're going to show. Like, I think it's going to be. I think the dominoes, Bless, have been fallen.
Yeah,
we are in the midst of it. This is good. I think this is like one of the best times for Xbox games, and I think they're going to continue it.
Hell yeah!
And I think they're going to find success with it, but we'll see. Story number 3. Mafia: The Old Country's release dates appeared online, potentially. This comes from Jordan Middler at VGC. Some marketing material has leaked. Developer Hangar 13 and publisher 2K called The Old Country the start of a new crime saga for the acclaimed Mafia franchise. Set in the 1900s, Sicily, the game follows Enzo, who survives a childhood working in the island's sulfur mines and finds himself with the opportunity to join Don Torresi's crime family. The game's scheduled for 2025, but it might be August 8th.
August 8th.
August 8th. The information was likely planned to be released following PAX East, which will see developer Hangar 13 premiere new gameplay from the game and presumably the release date. August 8th. Cool.
Yeah.
The 2025 is really starting to like clear up in terms of like what's happening, and pretty damn exciting.
It's times like this, I wish I still had the Blessing Super Fun Game release calendar.
Yeah.
Because now I'm trying to place it of like what's happening around that time. I know Metal Gear Delta is in August. But is there much else so far in August, chat? Let me know.
I saw it today, and I don't know where this information came from, but I saw someone saying that Kirby and the Forgotten Land with the extra stuff is August.
Oh,
Which
okay.
I think is interesting because I think we all kind of assumed that would be launch.
Yeah.
I did at least.
But I guess I could see them
They're just going to piecemeal
staggering
these things out.
out. Yeah, staggering out the
it's
Switch
kind
2
of
edition.
crazy, Bless. Like after all the speculation we've done of like how's Nintendo going to handle it, Switch 1 to Switch 2 stuff. It's like they're literally just doing what they did with the Wii U to Switch.
Yep.
I'm just like, hey, every couple of months we're going to release the games again. You're going to buy them.
You're going to buy them again, and you're going to like it.
But at least if you
At
have
least
the
there's an
old one,
upgrade.
there's an upgrade path and all
Yeah.
that stuff.
And you could still play your old game on the new thing, which is, right? I can still play Kirby on my Switch too. Backwards compatible.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scared me for a second with your pause there. I was like, what are you saying?
I get confused with the amount of fucking switches and twos and numbers and all that stuff.
I Take Two or 2K, I should say. They like PAX East a lot. Borderlands got like a lot of PAX East stuff.
You're right.
And I wonder what that. I wonder if this is part of that of like, hey, 2K, we just see PAX East as like a good place to reveal things. But I have questions. If you work at 2K, just want to let me know why y'all fuck with PAX East so heavy. Let me know, because I also love PAX, you know? And like I remember I wasn't in the room for the Borderlands 3 reveal at PAX East, but I remember seeing the line and being like, damn, that's crazy. And then Randy Pitchford was in there doing magic tricks.
What he does.
Being like, yo, why won't the trailer play?
Yeah.
And started blaming the people running the show. And it's like, Randy, chill, all right? They're doing their best. Do you remember this? It was hilarious. Randy
Oh
Pitchford,
my god. Volk Dasher says, sending a last super chat to say thanks. Tim and Bless combos the best and always engage with chats. Thanks both of you for being you. Thank you, Volk.
you.
And then we have Jesus Rivera saying, Nintendo has our OG gaming childhood held for ransom. They know we have the money. Vote with your wallet. Pixel and Thing says, Tears of Kingdom and Breath of the Wild upgrades are free for NSO peeps. We're talking about the Breath of the Wild DLC. The Champion's Ballad, I think it was called.
Yep.
That's the thing that we need to know. Does that come with NSO or not? Story number 4, the final story, is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is getting some impressive PS5 Pro enhancements. This comes from Darryn Bonthuys at GameSpot. Indiana Jones coming to PS5 on April 17th or 15th as an early access bonus for premium and collector's edition pre-orders. And several of the new features for the game on Sony's platform have been revealed. That includes PS5 Pro features that will distinguish it from other console versions, including Xbox. Starting in the controller department, the DualSense's haptic feedback and adaptive triggers have been tied to several parts of the game, including combat exploration and using Indy's tools. Bethesda added via the PlayStation blog that the controller's light bar is connected to in-game actions, with some examples being the LED light pulsing yellow if NPCs are searching for you, or red if your health is low.
Wow.
On the performance side, Bethesda explained that the game will benefit from numerous technical features like frictionless loading, selective installation, and SSD optimization on PS5 and Pro. The game targets a stable 60 frames per second on PS5 consoles, and if you find yourself stumped by any of the puzzles, you can consult the community game help hub. Really?
Why?
Why?
Out of all the games that
Why is
anything,
Xbox supporting PlayStation's bullshit more than
Xbox acting like they're
PlayStation
a
does?
first-party developer. That's crazy.
That's wild.
I think there are PlayStation first-party games that don't have game help. I'm pretty sure.
And then here's where things get a little crazy. On PS5 Pro, the game will also have impressive visual enhancements, a native 4K 60 mode,
Wow.
and advanced ray tracing. Bethesda says Machine Games worked to ensure that this version of Indiana Jones was optimized for the Pro and it was capable of delivering higher and more consistent frame rates. Zam.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Wow.
I'm very excited to see Digital Foundry break all that stuff down. Because PS5 Pro, I feel kind of needs a win in terms of like the narrative around it has been pretty bad. Like,
How so?
With a lot of the pisser stuff is seemingly not hitting the way people want it to.
Really?
But I also just we're starting to get the new waves of games that are actually like built knowing about this, whereas like I think it was a more retroactive for previous games.
Yeah.
So I think that Indiana Jones is probably going to be a good example to look at as like a test bed of what things are going to be like going forward for first and third party games.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, I'm very fascinated by, is there like a courting process to third parties for how deeply you integrate your features with like PlayStation native things, like the game cards thing, for example. Maybe Bethesda and Machine Games were like, oh, actually no, we want to do this, but when that happens, I view that more so of like I wonder if PlayStation was like, hey, we'll give you better placement on the store. We'll give you like XYZ perk if you support these features so we can talk about it. Same with the PlayStation 5 Pro stuff of like, hey, if you optimize it for PS5 Pro in these ways, like we'll help you out in XYZ ways. I'm sure there's like a level, I mean, I'm sure it's not just that, right? But like I'm sure there's a level of that kind of back and forth happening. But yeah, this is totally normal because it is Bethesda, and like Bethesda already has that relationship with PlayStation, right? And I'm sure for Xbox it's going to be the same thing, right? But it is just interesting of, all right, cool, Xbox is making a thing and it's going to work really well on a PS5 Pro. Like that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it really is. Alex Fraser says the Pro version of AC Shadows is a huge win. I haven't heard much about that game in terms of this. I want to look into that though, but because that is a good example of a new game that came out post PS5 Pro release.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, cool stuff.
You know what? I think I saw Greg playing that in the living room.
Yeah.
And like every time I glanced over, I was like, that looks incredible.
Man.
So.
That's Xbox games looking great on PS5 Pro. Big news, bless.
Huge
news. If I want to know some small news, where would I look?
You'd go to our last news story, the Wii News channel, where we cover all the small news items you need to know about it. Nude items.
Small nude items, everyone.
Small nude items.
Night School Studio, Oxenfree, released a new game this week. Black Mirror Thronglets is now available on mobile via Netflix.
What are we doing? How the mighty have fallen.
From Noble, Minecraft's user numbers jumped over 30% after the movie premiered. Even more evidence of what we've been saying, man.
Also, when I say mighty, I mean like Black Mirror. I'm not talking shit about Oxenfree.
Oh.
Yeah, Night School. So even though this is weird, but also I could see that's, you know what? That is interesting. Hey, we made Oxenfree. We made these games that these indie games that people love and adore. And Netflix is like, yo, can you make a game for our show? Can you make a game that I'm sure is probably an in-show, in-world game, and then spit it out into its own thing?
Mighty have fallen.
Mighty have fallen. Yeah.
New Sega Genesis games are now on the Switch Online expansion pack. SWAT, City Under Siege, Super Thunderblade, hell yeah, and Streets of Rage 1.
Hell yeah.
Elena joins Street Fighter 6 as a playable fighter on June 5th.
Crazy from Uncharted.
Switch launch day. Infinity Nikki launches April 29th on Steam.
Awesome.
There we go. That's it.
Dude, people love that Infinity Nikki.
They do.
Every other day, that's a lie. But every now and then, I run into people, and they're like, yo, I put in 100 hours in Infinity Nikki.
Yeah. That's a lot, man.
I try to tell y'all.
God. Let's see what we got here. Tyler Paprik says, Tim, I don't play many platformers, but I also fell in love with the story and vibe of South of Midnight. What other games should I try? Not Kena. So this is interesting. I wouldn't call South of Midnight a platformer. And I don't know why not Kena, because Kena is the game I would recommend.
Maybe they've already played Kena.
If you've already played Kena, help me out here, bless.
For South of Midnight type games, I mean, it's one of those things of what do you like about South of Midnight?
Yeah.
Do you like the story and the world? Do you like the art style? Do you like the action adventure gameplay? Because like if you're saying you like the action adventure gameplay, I'm like, yo, play God of War.
Multiple people in the chat bringing up Hi-Fi Rush.
Ooh,
and I think that's actually a really, really good call there.
I like that. If you like the setting, it's different, but Mafia 3. That's a game that takes place in New Orleans. That's a game I've not played it. I know Barrett has played it, and I've listened to like Austin Walker talk about it on a podcast about how well it tackles that story of those characters during that time.
Dude, we're getting some banger answers here. We got Shaggy Sasquatch says Psychonauts 2 that Barrett would definitely back. CJ Splits on saying Ratchet and Clank. I think that's a really good one as well.
Sure, yeah.
And Stretch Caramel says Kingdom Hearts on easy. That's actually a pretty good call too. Like
Okay.
very similar, like light platforming, but it's more just about like the combat and story and stuff. And
Yeah, I think those are good.
Gerald of Rivia says, "Happy Friday, Bless. I need your rematch character to be named Tom Steamboat."
All right, I'll do it for you. Wait, can you name your character? We'll get into
see.
it during the
We'll
stream.
see. Chris Dorkson says, "Thought you guys may be interested. The YouTuber Summoning Salt just uploaded, which Summoning Salt? I think Andy likes them. Just uploaded part 1 of his documentary on the Mario 64 120 star speedrunning category. Oh, wait. Summoning Salt is the guy, this is such a stupid thing to say, but he's the guy that puts out documentaries on YouTube about speedrunning games. I've watched a couple of them. Very excited about
heard of
this
his
because
work.
obviously 120 star speedrun in Mario 64 might be the peak of human accomplishment.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that. Yeah,
Right?
Yeah, I mean, in one of these Mario speed runs, yes, is the peak of accomplishment. I remember my first time seeing somebody do the backwards long jump up the stairs. That shit blew my mind.
Yep.
Blew me away.
It's time for You're Wrong. Let's see what we got wrong today. Oh, Robbie Rob says my super chat said enhancement, not enchantment. My bad. My bad.
That's amazing.
Are you fucking with me? I can't even find
Tim's literally scrolling through the super chats to double check.
Robbie's right.
You just misread it as enchantment,
Yeah,
brother.
Hey, come on, bro. Look at that shit.
No. No. That clearly
Hey,
says,
fair. It clearly says
says
enhancement. I don't know what to tell you. All right, man. Kebab says Tim got it correct, but I wanted to list it out for everybody. Crash Insane Trilogy was Vicarious Visions, R.I.P. Spyro Reignited and Crash 4 were Toys for Bob, kind of R.I.P. And then Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled was Beanox, R.I.P.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, this one is interesting from NA. Blessy might be unintentionally meshing 2K and Gearbox. Gearbox is owned by 2K now, yeah, but that wasn't until relatively recently. Gearbox has always hosted big PAX East theater shows each year, which of course includes Borderlands news. Other than Mafia this year, I can't remember previous years where 2K itself had such a big showing at PAX East. When did 2K acquire Gearbox? Because I thought that's been longer than it actually has been. I thought that was for a while.
I thought it was a while too.
I'm gonna look into this.
That was a while. That was hella long ago.
Because Borderlands 3 was published under 2K, and then
Definitely.
maybe Borderlands 2 wasn't. No, that was 2. Super chat. Are you sure? Or not super chat? Sorry, this is your wrong person. Are you sure? I'm gonna look into this because I appreciate it. But also, you could be right that like this Mafia thing is very much an off case, and like I think that's more of the likely scenario. It's just a matter of like I don't see many AAA studios revealing big info about games at PAX East in particular, and I know Gearbox has loved PAX East.
Yeah.
So I do wonder if maybe Gearbox infected them in some way where they're like, they're like, oh no, this is actually a great place to reveal stuff, but I don't know.
Well, everybody, we did it. Another week of Kind of Funny Games Daily in the books. What a great one. We only went 3 minutes over.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That's awesome.
I thought we were fucked.
Nah, man. What's funny is that I'm surprised we spent so much time on the first news story because I was ready to, before the show, look at you and be like, yo, we should just ask for a bunch of super chats because we're going to get through this shit really
We got
quickly.
them, though.
And we still got them.
That was a great show, everybody.
Fantastic show.
We had fun conversations. We're about to have more today, including Elder Scrolls Online that's about to play now. And then after that, he's playing a little bit of that rematch.
Oh, yes, I am.
With his character, Tom Steamboat.
Yes, I am.
Till next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.